Hello traders, welcome back to the Forex Trading Channel. My name's Greg and today we're going to take a look at the US dollar, the Japanese yen. So just going to start out here on the 15-minute and then I'll jump out a couple of time frames and we can work through our stuff. But the main level that I am looking at is this little level right here. So with this in mind, we've obviously pushed off of this low here. Had this nice bullish run up. Tiny little bit of structure on the higher time frames that would not have been visible, so there is very little or very few areas where people can hide their stops. Obviously the ideal place being down here below this level here. We all know that people like to be positioned as close to the action as possible, which will undoubtedly result in a collection of stops above this level. So anyone that wanted to go long, they're all positioned behind here. Obviously if they're buying, their stops are a sell. And what I'm looking for is for this to potentially continue, maybe induce a bit more stops and buyers, and then ultimately for this to push down, collect all these stops and reverse higher. So there's a couple of levels. That's sort of one iteration where we get some consolidation. That will obviously produce some more stops. The breakout potentially has sellers, which will give us some more buy stops up here. And there is another level just below it here, which obviously I'm looking at. So let's draw a couple of lines and then we can jump out a couple of time frames and look at it from a top-down perspective. Essentially looking at a manipulation for the market to collect all this liquidity, for the market to buy, for the big boys to buy, they need sells. So there's a lot of sell stops under this level. If we get a break, there'll be sellers and there'll be buy stops above the level. So we're looking at the market collecting that liquidity. Obviously once it drives past this level, it will collect all those stops. Once we get above the top, we should see some acceleration. So let's just work out to the 240. We'll look at these two little levels. So potentially we've got a nice little reversal here. I know we pushed through it here, but it has held as kind of this little mini support and resistance. And we've got this little one below it, which has obviously done the same. There's some wicks and bodies there. And if we look left, it has acted nicely as support and resistance for quite some time. So one other thing to note on the 240 is the potential for this inverse head and shoulders. Now it is not the prettiest head and shoulders, and I'll explain why in a moment. And that is because the two shoulders didn't quite make it back to what you would perceive to be the neckline. Nonetheless, it does fit the pattern quite well. So let's see if that plays out. Obviously we get a break. There should be some acceleration. Noting that in general, you would play it from the tip of the neck, the tip of the head to the neck, and we clone that, and then we'll put that on there. And then what we'll do is we'll just jump out to the monthly. Kind of a bit of a reverse engineer job, and what you can see is we pushed off the January lows. We had this big bullish candle. Last month didn't really break through the highs, didn't really break through the low. There was just some wickage. Let's remove those tools for the moment. You can see that here, and this month we just pushed directly off the price low, and it looks like we're trying to push north. So with all of that in mind, I will certainly be looking for a push up towards the 114. There is a couple of other things to watch out for, and that is the potential for this little descending trend line to come into play. But I could certainly see us pushing. You may even get a fake break in there and then a potential push down. You may break this trend line, and if obviously we break those tops, then that would be a significant move because there's a fair way to go. But anyway, targets. Let's just push back to the 15, and targets, obviously, I will leave up to you. You may look at taking a portion off at the top, or if we get a break and a push above, then obviously you can look to potentially take some targets here, or wait for a push up and look for it to take some targets at the top. However, I will leave target taking up to yourself. It is very much an individualistic thing, and I don't want to affect your trading, but I'm certainly looking for a push towards this level and potentially up to well, I'd like to see 114. Whether we get there or not, that's a different matter. Anyway, traders, I hope you enjoy that sort of content. If you do, give it a share, give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, don't forget to trade safe, and I'll see you in the next one.